Hello, Internet. My name is Ryan Ingram, and this is my oldest son. You want to tell him your name?
Jackson.
Yep. And today we're going to talk about the opportunity that's before us to renovate an abandoned mansion. Now, I know that there's a ton of abandoned mansion videos on the World Wide Web. And in comparison to those, this one should hardly be called a mansion, but it's way bigger than anything that I ever thought that we would have the opportunity to live in. And I know he's excited about it as well. Now, if you're not familiar with the Dayton area, Dayton has about 10,000 vacant homes. It has a little bit to do with 2008, and then it has a lot to do with big manufacturers and the automotive industry kind of pulling out of Dayton. So that was a real 1-2 punch to Dayton, and the result of that was a lot of homes that are heavily encumbered in liens and otherwise just abandoned. So I think it's really cool for us, kind of as a family. He's been doing this since he was, I guess, 2 years old, going around with me and looking at all this. And our business model, since we've moved up here, has revolved around acquiring these vacant properties, renovating them, and making them really nice places for people to live in again. So it does the soul really good to be able to take these vacant homes and kind of making them functioning units of society again. So I am just very grateful for the opportunity to renovate this one for our family to live in. So let's go ahead and take a look at the history of that. That's what I really want to cover today because this house has some really cool history associated with it. It was built in between 1898 and 1900. So this website, this is Dayton's Most Endangered Properties. It's from a group called Preservation Dayton, who's been instrumental in opening up this opportunity for us. So what's really cool is you've got the ability to donate. You see there, looking to raise $100,000 to help these endangered properties. They're currently at about 17,000. So if you feel so inclined, feel free to do that. And they highlight 10 of Dayton's most endangered properties. The Traxler Mansion, it's huge. It's just down the street from our office. It's really fun to look at. And here is the one that we are going to talk about. So this is the one that we are going to renovate. This is a picture from 1997 of how this property used to look. And here is what it looked like when we found it in 2021. So it needs a serious amount of work. There's a lot of holes in the roof. But again, we're really looking forward to the opportunity of renovating it. So let's take a look at the history of this and kind of go through it together. So it was built in 1898 for Michael Neal, who platted the Wolf Creek area. It was sold shortly after. It was built to Charles M. Seybold, president of the Seybold Machine Company. This brick Queen Anne style building stands out in the Grafton Hills Historic District. The property was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1982. Let's see here. The Barnett and Arnold plat between Salem, Riverview, and Summit was created in 1869. In 1882, William Barnett sold 2 lots to Michael Neal, president of the Dayton Hedge Company, for $2,500. I'm sure that you could do something and figure out what that is in today's dollars. But he was involved in real estate, platting the Wolf Creek area and bringing natural gas to Dayton, as well as serving as vice president of the Columbia Bridge Company, later the Seybold Machine Company. So that's cool. So he ended up ultimately selling it 2 years after he built it to somebody that I guess he worked with. In 1897, Sanborn Fire Insurance map showed that no house was constructed on these lots. However, an increase in the property tax assessment indicated that a house as construction on the lots in 1898. So this is a primary example of Queen Anne with multiple planes and cross-gabled hip roof. That roof is, we're going to replace that on Monday. So next week, we're going to release a video about this new roof going on. We're going to video the whole thing. I'm really looking forward to it because, again, like I said, there's a lot of holes in it. It has a lot of intricate roof detail, I guess. But I guess most big homes like this have some crazy kind of roof designs and patterns, not just your typical triangle up down peak in the middle. And then there's also some fish scale shingles or some scallops on the gables and in the dormers as well. So there's a couple where they have just put shingles over the scallops or the dormers, and we're going to take those off and put these fish scale shingles back in place. The boxy footprint is a basic square, reflects transition to the later 4-square style. In the 1900 census, Michael Neal is listed as a hedge fence planter. I have no idea what that means. I hope somebody could clarify in the comments, along with Martha Neal at the house, along with their son, William, a bookkeeper. So that's fun. I mean, I've been on ancestry.com a couple of times, and these census, they're a wealth of information. In 1903, the Neals sold the house for $12,500 to Charles Seybold. Now, I did do the math on this, and it came out to be about $405,000 of today's money back in 1903. The president of the Seybold Machine Company, manufacturers of high-grade machinery for bookbinders, printers, lithographers, paper mills, etc. He was also president of the Seybold Foundry Company, according to the Dayton City Directory in his obituary. So in 1910 census, the 1910 census listed Charles and Blanche Seybold at the house, along with a 16-year-old nephew and a female servant. In 1917, the Seybolds sold the house to Arthur Kittredge, president of K and S Company, and a former president of the Barney and Smith, according to his obituary. His heirs sold the house in 1926 to Jefferson Brooke Walter Sr., an internationally known violinist and musician, which is really cool because there's one room in the house that I'm looking forward to walking through and showing you guys. It's one of the most well-preserved rooms. And according to the people in the neighborhood that have consumed a lot of this historical information and know this, that was called the music room. And the intricate plasterwork is really something special. This property remained in the family for 2 generations until it was sold by daughter Virginia Walters Fletchers in 1990. J.B. Walters and his wife Mildred did not live at the house. According to the Dayton City Directory, it was occupied by his mother until her death in 1939, which brings us to the most kind of tragic part of the story. But I'm also very thankful for it because it allowed this property to be preserved. And that is that in 1940, it was turned into a rest home. So at that time, the census listed Miss Timius, 2 servants, and 17 patients living in the house. That's a lot of people. So if 17 patients can fit in this house, then that means we can have at least 17 kids that can fit in that house. What do you think about that? Not too many? All right. In 1950, the fire insurance map shows the house had remained the same since 1919, unlike some of the neighboring residences where pasted updates show changes to the properties. In 1960, Miss Elizabeth Stillwell operated the Stillhaven Nursing Home on Central Avenue, according to the 1970 Dayton City Directory, and the house was listed as Central Nursing Home. In 1980, Eva Harris ran the property as the Harmony House Boarding House. Later in 1990, Robert and Mary Nicodemus purchased the property, and Mary was the administrator of the Central Manor Adult Foster Care. It is not clear how long this care home operated. Mary Nicodemus died in 2003 and Robert in 2006. This property has been empty since then. The Nicodemus will go through all of the liens and all the crazy legal issues that are a result of them not paying the properties, the taxes, the benefits. There's a lot of state of Ohio liens that still need to be cleared up on this house, but we're going to go ahead and take care of that. In 1995, the Landmarks Commission gave approval to demolish the carriage house behind the property after a fire ravaged it. The owner, Robert Nicodemus, had been trying to get permission to demolish the carriage house since 1991. Shortly after he took ownership, photos are below, courtesy of the city of Dayton. So it's a little bit suspicious, right? So he'd been trying to tear it down, and then the city said no because of its history, and lo and behold, it catches fire. I don't know about that, but here's some photos of it. And if all goes well, we're going to rebuild this on the property. I think it would be really cool to have a big garage, and also so you could see where the carriage house used to sit. I think the pad is still there, so hopefully we can recover that as we start getting rid of some of the growth. But yeah, this house is incredible. It's hard to tell from these pictures, but this limestone foundation right here, on the front, it's about 6 foot tall. And here on the sides, it goes down to about 4 foot. So the foundation is just so solid. But yeah, there it is. So one thing that I think is really cool is that this house was turned into a group home or rest home, whatever you want to call it, back in 1940. So it's been 80 years since this has been occupied kind of as a single family residence. So it's pretty cool knowing that we're going to be the first family that has lived here in about 80 years, don't you think? So we're going to be able to kind of convert it back into a home from this group home that it is at the moment, which again, it's going to be so much fun. So Michael Neal is the one that purchased the property originally. He bought the land and then he built the house. And we learned that 2 years later, Charles Seybold purchased the property. And Seybold Machine Company, they went on to have some really cool history. Charles Seybold went on to build one of the most expensive homes here in Montgomery County, and that is in Oakwood. He is probably, from all of my research so far, he's the one that kind of lived the most prominent life that lived in this house. So I found a little bit more on him that I wanted to share. All right, so during World War II, there were several top secret American weapons projects. The most well-known is the Manhattan Project, which produced the atomic bomb. The story of this former secret project has been well documented since the end of the war. Another top secret project, at least until mid-war, when it was reduced to confidential, was the Norden bomb site. It was reduced to confidential once it was known that the bomb site had fallen into the possession of German military authorities from American bombers shot down over Europe. So NCR, that is one of the main big companies that started here in Dayton. Now, they left some time ago, which is part of the reason as to why we have all these vacant homes. RSV has been running through our family. So stay away from us if you see us in person. But NCR probably contributed to a lot of the vacant homes in the area, especially here in Dayton View, where there's a lot of really large, very nice homes. A lot of them were GM, NCR. However, there was another top secret project that was developed and produced 2 miles away from the NCR top secret project in Dayton, and this was the BEA K1 bomb computer and bomb site. This development and production of the top secret device was at the Seybold plant of Harris Seybold Potter at 819 West Washington Street. This computer and bomb site remained in production and as a top secret project until after World War II. It wasn't until 1970 when Harris Seybold donated 2 early models of the BEA K1 to the National Museum of the United States Air Force that this project became public. I think that's pretty cool. And there's some examples of that. And most likely the Seybold facility was chosen by the Army Air Force Wright Field for 2 reasons. Firstly, Seybold had demonstrated an ability to take on diverse and difficult projects and produce them in a timely manner. Secondly, the close proximity to Wright Field facilitated communication on the project. Essentially, Charles Seybold did some top secret projects for World War II. And Charles Seybold owned the paper manufacturing company. And what's really cool is you're able to go back and really see a lot of the patents that he pulled while he lived at this home. Because, you know, from the website, from all the information that we have on Preservation Dayton, we know that Charles Seybold lived in this property between 1903 and about 1917. So for, 14 years, he lived there, filing patents and helping the government and building a business. Now, one thing that I was able to find that I thought was really cool is in 1996, the company, the Harris Seybold, paper machine company, they did about $3.6 billion in revenue that year. So I think that's just really cool. And that's the history that I'm really looking forward and kind of, there's a lot of satisfaction knowing that we get to preserve that and play a part in it. So this is like the introductory, the first real video that we've recorded about this project. So we came about this property a little over a year and a half ago. It's really tied up in a bunch of legal issues. There's a lot of liens on it, and we're trying to work diligently with the state of Ohio to get those reduced. But in the meantime, there's a lot of holes in the roof. I know that I want to raise our family there, so we're going to go ahead and start working on the property to just preserve it. We're going to put a roof on it. We're going to do a lot of the structural work where there are holes in the floors to make it safe so that when we come to some type of an agreement with these liens, we're going to have a clean slate to work with, and that way we're going to have a good property for us to live in. So the liens in total, we're going to make another video about that, going over the entire cost of the project that I have estimated, it's going to be around $200,000 and $250,000, and then there's an additional $200,000 worth of liens on the property. So hopefully we can get a lot of those liens out of the way, and we can focus on renovating this project. Are you looking forward to it?
Yes.
Do you have anything that you want to say?
No.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to start releasing videos every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please follow along with the progress on this property. And we look forward to kind of sharing our experience with you while we are taking a awesome abandoned mansion and turning it into our dream home. So thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. And I look forward to talking about this and documenting it each step of the way. So a new roof is going on Monday. So next Saturday, I'm really looking forward to showing you that. Talk soon.